right, welcome to the latest bizsugar live webinar. We do these every Wednesday, the second and fourth Wednesdays of every month at noon Central. Today we are really fortunate to have with us Palumi Basu, and she is going to tell us all about driving growth. If your small business has a website, is it driving as much growth as you want it to? If not, you're missing out on a valuable opportunity to reach new customers and grow your business. And even if you do have a website, it may not be living up to its full potential. It's your most important online real estate, your number one branding and marketing tool. And this webinar will show you how you can get the most out of this important digital marketing tool to attract more visitors and leads, smooth out your business operations, drive conversions. Find out how to start optimizing your website now. Palumi Basu is the branding, SEO, and content specialist at Ignite. Her vision is to guide small businesses through each step of their digital marketing journey. Palumi brings heart and passion to apply her business management experience to provide a growth structure for your small business. Palumi, if you'd like to tell us what you'd like to present on, and you're welcome to mention what Ignite does too, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you so much, Gail. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Because I hear echo here, but it's not there.
I'll go on mute as soon as I make sure your screen sharing starts.
Okay. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, perfect. So thank you, Gail. Thank you for having me here. And I'm super excited to be here and share my knowledge and experience on bizsugar. A little bit about me. I started my career in journalism. Actually, I was writing. Then I moved on to advertising, brand consulting. Then I worked in corporate marketing. I worked in big multinationals and eventually started on my own to work with small business owners. Now I work with business owners to help them create their brand stories and grow their business with digital marketing, especially with their websites. So yeah, I'm very excited to share, the process and hope that, some people joining in can get some actionable tips from here that can help them. I just want to add, though, that the steps that I will talk about here are not very technical about web design. They are just some key factors that can help your website to drive growth for your business. You don't even need too much technical knowledge to implement them. And we will also approach it from a very end consumer standpoint. So, and you don't have to implement all of them. It's just giving you a lot of tips to see what can work for your business, what is your strategy, what are your immediate objectives, and how you can use these tips on your website to grow your business. Okay. So let's look at the key aspects of website optimization. And, if you forget about jargons, let's look at it very simply. You're a small business. You want more customers. So you want people to know about you, to engage with you, and then to choose you over others, to buy from you essentially. And that in the online world connects to the key website optimization elements. So you can optimize your website to grow awareness and drive traffic, which means your audience visits your site. You optimize your website to engage and connect with them. So they stay on your site and, they see what you have to say. Improve your experiences. So you make it very smooth for them and for you. You build trust and you drive conversion. So basically your audience converts from being a visitor to a lead or a customer. So it's the whole process from bringing people to your site, engaging with them, converting them, and you can do that a lot through your website. We're just going to cover the steps, how, other different ways that you can do that in 6 essential steps. So I won't go into them in detail here because I will cover them one by one. But I will start with a golden rule. And this is like the absolute starting point for your business in general, but especially for your website. It is a non-negotiable. And that is know your audience. It is the absolute fundamental starting point. It will determine everything you do on your site. You need to understand, your audience's challenges, their questions, their interests, so you can get them to visit your site. and you want to make them stay on your site, right? So you need to know the hooks to engage them. You need to know the triggers, what makes them buy, what makes them browse through content, what makes them download something, what are they really looking for, and how can you help them? And for that, you need to understand not just their demographics, not just, okay, a lot of clients I have worked with a very brief, vague idea of their audience. Okay, I have my target audience are like retired personnel or teenagers, or okay, let's target it make it a little more narrow, like professional women, 30s to 40s. But that's just demographics. What you really need to know is their psychographics. So what is their lifestyle like? What are they really struggling with? And how do you make it better? It isn't, as I said, it's important in terms of your business because you need to have the right products and services to help them. But you also need to know that for your website, especially for the messaging that you use on your website. And that's why I would recommend you always start with the buyer persona. If you need a template, you can always message me and I can, send it across, or you can just download one online. They are very similar, but the key point is to really narrow down and make them one human and say, okay, my audience is Dan. Who is Dan? How old is he? Which websites does he visit? Which social media does he hang out on? What is he struggling with? Why will he want something? Why will he come to my website? So the more you know, the better you can create, your marketing, and you can optimize your website. So definitely this is like the starting point. Now we go into the first step, which is create a brand website. So let's talk about brand. These are some of my I have a lot of favorite quotes on branding, but these are my two favorite ones. It says, you look at the words they use, that your brand is the single most important investment you can make. And if you're not a brand, you're a commodity, you're a product. So, and then you're competing with different products. But the moment you're a brand, you become something else. You become a step above. You become more than just a logo and a design. A brand is essentially who you are, what you do, why you do it, what are your values. Nowadays, people want to know this more than ever before because this builds trust. This sets you apart. It makes you memorable. It makes you reachable. No matter how small you are and how small your business is, you need to have a brand. And with that brand, you create your brand story and share it on your website. The most important element of that is when visitors land on your website, they need to know immediately who you are, what you're offering, how it benefits them. If even if you have products on your website, on your homepage, mention everything about your brand on your about page or some other pages, and just put that in across all aspects of your messaging. And this is especially important for small businesses because your audience may not know you that well. You're not a big brand that, you're not a household name yet, maybe. So you need to build that trust. So before buying from you, they need to know more about you. So share your story, especially on your about page. Your story includes your origin, your mission, your purpose, why you do something, what makes you different, and look how I mentioned about unique value proposition. It's not a unique selling proposition. It's not about selling, because if you try to sell too much, you kind of put people off. So talk about the value you bring to them, right? How you make their lives easier, better, happier, less stressful. Maintain brand consistency across your website. So while you're talking about your story and your purpose, include that in a very consistent look and feel, messaging, and personality across your website. This is very important because then when people close your website and they go away, they don't retain details about your website, like, okay, what was that exactly? They kind of have an idea, okay, this brand was about this. Right? They boil it down to 3 or 4 words. And that only happens when you maintain consistency and a strong messaging across your website. And especially your homepage. Your homepage usually is your most visited page. It can be your number 1 landing page as well. And it is also your sales page, even though you're not trying to sell. right? So it should include a lot of information about you in a gist and then have call to actions for different pages of your website. So it should essentially include your offers, your products and services, again, brief, not too detailed, your audience and benefits. So when I look at the website, I kind of need to know immediately, okay, you have this, but is it for me? That's what people care about. That's what your customer needs to know. Is it for me? How does it offer a value to me? And I talk about functional and emotional benefits. So functional is, the direct service, the direct value that I get, the direct challenge that it solves. And emotional is, how does that make my life better? How does that make any difference to me? Because I can buy a product from anywhere. I can, buy different kinds of products. So is this product really going to make a difference to my life? That's what I call about emotional benefit. And that can be layered in your brand message. It doesn't have to be direct. It can be implied. Which brings us to my brand, to the brand message and promise. So your brand promise is very simply, what do you offer? How does that make a difference to your customer's life? And that has to definitely be on, of course, your about page, preferably your homepage. And I'll just show you an example in a second. Social proof. Honestly, when was the last time you bought anything without looking at reviews? So reviews are important on your website, of course, on Google and social media as well, which we will go into later, but definitely on your homepage. And have call to actions. You can have you should have multiple call to actions, scattered through your homepage, not to the same page. It's not always about get a free trial or buy my product or avail of this offer. It can, when I say call to action, it can be read our story. It can be check out our content, look at my blog posts, look at my videos. Preferably stay within the website when you're adding all of these links because you want them to interact more on your website with all that you have to offer. So I'm just going to, minimize the screen for a second and show you an example. So if I take this brand, ActiveCampaign, now it's not a small business, and you may have heard about this brand. What I really like about it is just the messaging where it gives you the benefit, clear upfront, drive growth with customer experience automation. This is the benefit. This is what they offer. And it says, then it goes into more details about it, gives you the email marketing, marketing automation, and CRM tools you need to create customer experiences. So this is all that you need to know immediately when you land on the page. And then you have an email address to get started. And then, of course, they go into more details and they scatter, call to actions across the page. But what is essentially important is that here you get what the brand is about and whether you should waste your time on it. What I really like about them is also, they have different homepages or different landing pages based on the industry. So if you're a blogger and an influencer, for example, you see how the messaging changes. Sorry if it takes a second to load. Yeah, so it talks about fastest way to engage and grow your audience, free offers, welcome series, etc. to need to grow your blog. So it's talking directly to the audience and you know immediately this is for me, this is what I need, and this is how I can get it. So that was one example of how you can use the brand message and promise on your homepage upfront. The second example I want to show you is a product website, actually a brand that offers products. So this is a baby brand clothes, clothes brand. And of course they have their offer up front, 60% off. Yes, a lot of product websites will have that. But then when you see the messaging, it goes into super soft, sustainable baby clothes, right? So you immediately know that they're talking about organic, highest quality fabric. So they're really talking to a certain type of parents who are looking for these type of clothes for their children or these kind of elements in a brand. Here also they say wooden toys, so not plastic, right? Designed for hours of play and learning. And look at the look and feel as well. This is across the website. You kind of get an idea about organic, soft, muted colors, sustainable, good for the baby. And here they have a link directly to the story. So here, I will click on this in a second, and you see how they link to the brand story and how they explain what their brand is. And here they have the social proof, what parents think. So it's rated 4.6 out of 5 based on so many reviews and recommended by so many. So that is your social proof upfront. And if I go to our story page, sorry. Okay, there you go. And then you have about the brand, right? So here it says, with a gentle touch from sustainable materials, welcome a baby into the world and beyond. So you look at the messaging, it's very consistent across the pages, and they're always harping on the softest fabrics, highest quality, sustainable, and then you go into more details about sustainability, environmental impact, giving back to the community, the signature fabric, etc. So that's where, I would stress the importance of a brand website, because once, if I close this window, I will remember overall what the brand was about, even if I don't remember details. And that's what you need to achieve with your brand website. Moving on to the next point. Now, you can actually use your website to run your business. So you can smoothen your operations and reduce the effort and the investment that you make in your business on a day-to-day basis. You can automate so many things on your business, especially if you have a WordPress website. Now, WordPress is not the best platform by any means, of course, but it does offer a lot of flexibility in what you can do and how much automations you can put in and how you can customize it to meet your specific business needs. So one easy way of making it work for your business is provide all the information that your audience could possibly have. Information about you, your products, your terms and conditions, how to use your products, tutorials, explanation of features, your refund or cancellation policy, anything that you think that they can be asking you. So it reduces the load on you or your customer service to get back to them for regular questions. And it also makes your visitor feel very satisfied and empowered, because there is everything over there. Now it's up to them whether they, decide to contact you or not for very specific queries, but they don't need to for the simplest of things. The second is to provide your contact information and multiple contact points. Now, of course, you can have a form on your website for people to fill up and get in touch with you, but it's also good to give them different ways to contact you, for example, via social media. So you open it up for an easy way of connection depending on the person's preference. And I would suggest more than one contact point, so more than one social media, maybe Twitter or LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram, whatever works for your business. But give them easy ways to get in touch with you, because that can actually help in your lead generation. If you stick only to a form, then, a lot of people don't want to make that effort. The next is to smoothen your operations. So you can set up your website to make your ordering process super easy. If you're selling in bulk or you are working with custom orders, then you can manage that through your website. You can schedule appointments, manage inventory, issue invoices. You can do a whole lot of things from your website. So make the most of it. I want to show you an example of how I am changing the website of a client of mine. It's not completely done yet, but I can show you the work in progress. So this is how the website, it's a Dutch website. It's a bakery client. She's based in Maastricht, where I'm based as well. And so the English will not be perfect because it's translating from Dutch automatically. But essentially, she makes custom cakes for special occasions. And here you see like a picture of a cake, but on this side is like a sweet box, she calls it. So it's like cupcakes and cake pops and macarons, etc. So this is what she has on the website. It's just, who are we? This picture is not great, contact, and Instagram. And then she has what is called a lookbook. So it has more pictures. That's it. It's just pictures. Now let's say somebody wants a cake. What happens is they contact her here or here and say, hey, I want this, but I want this filling and I want that cake flavor and I want so many layers and it's for how many people. So my client told me that she spends like hours going back and forth over email trying to customize the cake as per her audience, her client's preferences, her customers' preferences. And that takes up so much of her time that she doesn't have the time to actually take on new orders for her business. So what we decided that her website strategy, her website objective, first of all, is to make this simpler for them. So this is what we are working on. Again, it's not done yet, but this is what we are transforming the website to. So this, the one I told you about, the cake and the sweet box, that becomes a sweet table. So when she shows her customer chooses a cake and she says, hey, I have this too. Would you want that? And they're like, yeah, we would love that. So, but that is, she has to do it manually. What we do here is we actually change it to say, okay, create a sweet table, or you can choose a cake, but you can choose a sweet table. And when you click here, you see all the sweet tables and all the cake options that you can possibly have. And then you have the categories that people can click on and choose a certain product. The story, we still, as I said, it's work in progress. So it's all, the text is not final yet and the pictures are not final. Then you have the products. Then you say how you can customize your order. You talk about testimonials and you have weekly specials, the store information because she has 2 stores and people get confused, and the Instagram, which I have to still add. What I want to show you about the operations and how it makes it much easier is this one. So for example, if this is a cake, right? So I remember I told you how she offers her customers options to make it a sweet table, which is basically an upsell. It's an upsell, it's a cross-sell, it's everything together because she can sell multiple products just through one cake. So here it says you can convert your cake into a sweet table. So we put that upsell right on up front and we say, okay, this is a cake, this is a sweet table, this is the cookies, etc., etc. So all the images are here. Then they customize their cake. So if it's number of people, let's say 8 to 12, and if it's fresh fruit, no, it's 30 euros. It's yes, it's 40 euros. And note how it says for 8 to 12 people, the cake will only be 1 layer. But I change the number of people, and then it lets you choose the number of layers, right? If you click on 3 layers, for example, you get an additional price. Then you choose the flavor, you choose the filling. Because you clicked on fresh fruit, yes, so you get a fresh fruit option. If you do no, you don't get that option. Choose your cake type, etc., etc. Complete your sweet table. This is again upselling. So you have cupcakes. Okay, how many cupcakes do you want? You have cookies. How many cookies do you want? Okay, never mind. I want just the cake. Choose the date, customizations, file reference if any, because sometimes a client has that, and it gives you an estimate product and says request a code. So now my client can actually look at the code and all the customer preferences, what exactly they want, directly from the website without spending hours back and forth by email. And then she can, if she needs, she can just add the name of a product. It will show the images and she can send a code. The customer can accept it and then they can pay. So this is how I'm talking about. You can actually smoothen and make your business operations so much more efficient just with your website. Just going to go back to my presentation now. There it is. Right. Okay. Improve your SEO. So this is basically to get found by your audience, and you know that you need to work on your audience to be found organically. But there is a difference. You need to decide whether you're going to go for local SEO or global SEO. If you are a local small business working out of a specific area and you are not going to be able to sell beyond that region, do not even bother about global SEO. Just take the most important steps for your local SEO, because if people across the world can find you, but is that really going to help you? You put in the work for your SEO, but is it really going to help you? Sometimes I have worked with businesses who don't want to, who say, okay, my Google profile is enough. just a few local keywords are enough, right? So you need to decide how much you want to do, but essentially one key thing that you should always have is a Google business profile, whether you're selling locally or you're selling globally. For example, if you are a small business who has digital products, or some things that you can serve, or a service that you can offer globally, then definitely go for a global SEO. But even then, I would suggest to have a Google business profile, because it just gives you that credibility. It just makes you more believable that you're registered, you exist here, you operate out of here, and yes, you have a website, but this is where your actual physical location is. And of course, if you are working on local SEO, this is extremely important, because you need to be found. And people sometimes are just looking for, brands near me, products near me, bakeries near me, for example. Maximize your reviews. We talked about this earlier for the homepage, but especially for local SEO, having reviews on Google, website, and social media becomes extremely crucial. That is your word of mouth recommendation. So that is something that you should take seriously. And in terms of keyword research also, be very, very targeted. Like when I was working with my bakery client, for example, and we were trying to look for keywords that people are like what people are searching for. I'm based in this town called Maastricht, as I said. And we said, okay, people are maybe looking for cakes in Maastricht. And we start with that. But then we see that, Dutch people called cakes as tarts. So instead of unicorn cake, people are looking for unicorn tart, Maastricht. So that's a keyword that I would pick up on. But again, if you're doing global SEO, then you don't have to be so focused on the location. And remember search intent. So you might have different keywords that you optimize your product pages for and your content pages for. And if you have to, I don't know if you know about the different kinds of search intent, but there are 4 of them. So informational, navigational, transactional, commercial, you can look that up. And be very sure not to confuse your commercial ones with your informational ones. For example, all how-to keywords are informational keywords. So if you are looking for example, we tried out unicorn tart Maastricht, and it is more commercial, but there could be some keywords which seems commercial but actually informational. So just try to target your keywords and your pages accordingly. Create SEO friendly content. Now, I know a lot of businesses say, okay, I have my product pages and my service pages, and I have no time and I have no experience in creating content. It is very difficult to rank. It's not impossible, but it's very difficult to rank in the first page of Google with only product or service pages. I would recommend you to have some content at least, even if it's not very detailed, even if it's not very comprehensive. Try to keep as much content as possible, because of course it helps Google, but it also helps your visitors, because they get a lot out of your content. They have more credibility. They believe in you more. You sound like an expert because you know what you're talking about. You're writing content about it. They learn from there. So even if they don't buy from you, they get a lot out of you, and they might come back later to buy from you. Work on your on-page SEO, even for product pages. Now, again, this is not very technical. It's if you just look up, read up a little bit about it on my website or some other websites, look up the key elements of on-page SEO, like include your keyword in your headings, in your meta description, title tags, even for product pages. Try to write lengthy product descriptions and use a lot of semantic keywords, because that can actually help your SEO. It can. If you have a very detailed product description, it can actually push you up in the rankings. And implement the technical SEO basics. Again, you don't have to pay a professional to get these sorted, especially again if you're using WordPress, sitemap, indexation, structured data, an SSL certificate. These are just very few things that either your website host will provide you, or you can download a plugin like Yoast or RankMath, and it can give you a lot of help in setting up your SEO. Try to create a smooth site architecture. By that, I mean, you have your homepage. This is your category. This is your subcategory. This is your product. in terms of content, your category, your subcategory, your content. So make it clear, make it easy for Google to understand your path and what you're specializing in and what they should try to rank you high in. And also make it easy for your audience, for your visitors to go through your website. And I will talk more about that in a second. But just keep it very simple, very structured, very smooth, so and not everything all over the place. Try to do as much internal linking as possible. So from your content to the product that makes sense, all links between your content, between your product pages like upselling, cross-selling, try to, bring them all together. Again, depending on topics, you can use topic clusters. So try to do as much internal linking as possible. It really gives a lot of cues to Google and it's not difficult to do. Try to get backlinks, especially if you're a local small business. If you can get some links from local directories, it helps your SEO, of course, because you're getting links from directories which usually have high domain ratings. And it also helps people to find you very easily because sometimes people actually look in directories for businesses, just like your yellow pages. But even besides directories, you can get other kinds of links. If you cannot do a proper backlink work, and hire someone to do it for you or put hours into getting backlinks because it takes time. You can also ask your associates, your clients, your customers, your suppliers, people whom you know in the industry, whom you work with on a regular basis. If they have a website, they can easily link to you, and that will help your SEO. So these are some of the tips that you can implement to get higher up in Google and actually get more visitors to your site, because that is like the first step. And once they are on your website, make it easy for them, make it fun for them, make it, smooth for them to actually stay on your website and browse more and come back. So I'm just going to have a sip of water. So make it easy to navigate. For example, if you go on the homepage, then, you have your menus, you have your header, sorry, the footer. So there are easy links to the most important pages of your website. So I don't have to, go across your whole website to find the basic information that I need. Create an easy search process. I'm just going to show you one example right now, which I absolutely love browsing that site because it's so easy to find the products. Let me see here. Yeah, this is the one. So again, it's a baby website because I tend to go through a lot of these websites because I have two small kids. So let's say I want boy fashion because I have two boys. And I go to nightwear. It shows me like 5,000 results, like honestly. But here I have so many filters. So I have nightwear, which I've clicked on. By delivery time, I can search by brand. I can search by discount, by price, by age, by type. So pajamas, short sets, multi-packs, pattern, all over printed, stripes, checks, solid, neck type, length, characters. So my son, for example, is into Spider-Man right now. So, they have something in Spider-Man. By colors. So there's a lot of easy filters that I can use. Now, you don't have to put in so many, but just make it easy for them in ways that you can, that is applicable for your business, for your customers to actually find the products on your website. That, makes the experience so pleasant that you're more likely to come back and look on this website than on other websites where you're like, okay, I have so many results, but I know what I want. How do I get that? So make it easy for them. Improve the page speed. This is also important for SEO, but honestly, no one has the time or patience for a website that doesn't load fast. And I know it sounds easy, but there are, it's not super complicated as well. You can make the size of your images a little smaller, but of course have good quality. And, you can try not to have too many heavy loads like codes or, plugins, but you can also use some easy web website caching plugins that makes it faster, some small steps that you can do yourself. Of course, if you really have a problem with your page speed and you really want to speed it up, then you can hire a professional. But there are a lot of things that you can do yourself, especially in a WordPress website. Some very simple things that still people don't follow a lot is white spaces, easy to read fonts, attractive visuals. These go a long way. And optimizing your site. Even now, there are so many websites that are not mobile responsive. It's like you can barely click on them. You can't zoom in on them. These seem elementary, but these are some of the things that you really need to take into account. And it's not just that, your website should look good, it should load on a mobile and it should be easy to read, but also that, you have to check when you do website design, just that elements are not out of place, because how it looks on your desktop, sometimes it does not convert automatically. Maybe the elements go a little spaced out or something goes on top of each other. So make sure those things do not happen. Again, it's very easy to do on WordPress, and you can do that all yourself, especially if you're doing your own website. Add call to actions, because you really have to guide your customer through your website. It's not that, you can lay back and say, okay, I have my information up there. I have my brand up there. Now it's all up to them. No, you kind of have to gently nudge them to move them across the website. Hey, check out my products. Look at my brand story. Look at my contact information. Connect to me on social media. There are multiple things that you can guide them to, but limit your pop-ups. Now, more pop-ups can have a very high conversion rate, and especially for, if you have discount offers, for example, they can convert very well. But if there are multiple of them, then it can be very annoying. So ads and pop-ups, I know it's tempting to put them in, especially ads, and you put Google AdSense and they show up everywhere, but it's so not good for user experience. And it also sometimes can give off a vibe of, desperation, that why do you have so many ads? Is it that you only make money through ads? Don't you make money elsewhere? Like, if people don't have a good feeling about websites which have too many intrusive things popping up when you're actually trying to browse some content. Even if you have a, form that requires, because you will have forms if you need to do some lead generation, try to limit the number of fields. Nobody likes to fill up a form with just like, tell me this, tell me that, tell me great. It's great for your information about your customers, but it's annoying from a customer standpoint to fill up so many different things. Now, I want to show you again a couple of examples of optimized and non-optimized. So this is a coffee beans website. Again, it's the place where I am. I like to look at local businesses around my town so that, I get an idea of what people are doing. So this background and then this text on it, it is just not so appealing. And the homepage, it has barely anything. They have their whole story and a lot of text on this side without any call to action. This is, this you can barely see what is happening. It's just different packaging, right? It's not very friendly. And you have another website here, which is done much better. Again, it's not the best example, but it still has, this is the homepage. It has a lot of call to actions. It has clear website, clear product information. You click on them. You have a description here. You have more information here. You have nice images. So they are two websites on the same industry, in the same category, the same kind of product, but two very, very different websites. So this is what I mean by, also user experience and how you can it's just a few simple things that are different, but you can do, but you can really change how your website looks and how what the experience your customers and your audience have based on a few small implementations that you can do. This one is, of course, one very, very important one, because this is where you take all that you've done so far. You've gotten customers to your website, you've gotten your audience on your website, you've engaged with them, you've connected to them, and now it's time for them to become something more, become a lead or a customer. So try to get their contact details. Again, a free giveaway lead magnet is very easy to capture the information if you know what the hook is, what they're looking for, because they're not going to download everything from your website, only if it addresses a certain challenge that they have, and it helps them solve it by looking at a PDF, a free video course, a free quiz. If it addresses their problem and gives them a solution, that is when they're more likely to download. And that is how you get their contact details, and that is how you stay in touch with them. Some of the simplest marketing automations to set up are email workflows, so a series of emails that goes out to them, and abandoned cart emails. A lot of brands still don't do abandoned cart emails, and they really convert quite well. So if they are checking out but they get stopped in the middle, you just send them a quick follow-up, not a lot, maybe one or two, and that's it. Just remind them that they have an item in their cart. Conversion copywriting is actually a very specific kind of writing which is different from your content writing. Content writing is a lot more, laid back. It's a lot more information. It's a lot more explanatory. Sometimes it can be entertaining, but conversion writing has a little more urgency to it. It's a little more sales-led. So it describes your products and features very well. It tells you it gives you reasons why you should do something and why you should do it now. So you have to approach the writing in a little different way. So you can, of course, hire a professional to write that for you, but you can also look up some examples from, say, your competitors or your industry and see what kind of writing exists on their sales pages, product pages, landing pages, compared to their content pages, and try to make that difference. Create targeted campaigns. So it's not just, somebody signs up for a lead magnet and, hey, you send them all information about your content and all your offers. The more targeted, the more segmented, the more personalized you can make your communication, your emails, for example, then the more likely you have chances of conversion. So, for example, if you have a pet food store and somebody signs up for a free lead magnet, a PDF or a course or information about dog food, send them a lot of information about dog food, dog nutrition, caring for your dogs. If you bombard them with emails about, say, cat food as well, so all kinds of animals that you have to offer, then it's not so targeted. They are more likely to unsubscribe, whereas if you're consistently sending them information about their interest. This can be location-based as well. I mean, that's another example of being targeted. If people are looking for certain things in a particular location, then, like a bakery in Maastricht, then talk to them about Maastricht, and not about bakeries all over the world. And maybe you can talk to them about ingredients that are there in Maastricht and how you source them for your cakes. So try to make it as local, as targeted as possible. And of course, implement marketing and sales funnels. So this is what you see on the right, which is, you probably have heard of this tofu, mofu, bofu funnel, which is that you attract them with different kinds of content and information. You send them different kinds of information in the consideration stage, and then you follow that up with offers and trials and discount coupons, etc., in the decision stage. So try to see how you can divide different sections of your website, like your landing pages and content and your homepage, depending on the stage that you are in right now, the stage that's most important for you. If your budget allows, use a CRM. It can be very helpful to narrow down that interest, and that leads to conversions. So I think HubSpot has a free CRM that you can use, but otherwise you can try, if you have the budget, try for a more advanced one, which gives you more information on what landing pages are people looking at, what are the emails they're clicking on, what kind of offers are they signing up for, or discounts that they're looking for. So then you get a full picture of a particular customer, and you can target them with communication and campaigns based on that. Chatbots I have kept as a question mark, because some websites have it and it's good, it helps, but sometimes people are just put off by bots. People just want to talk to humans. So see what works for your business. If that is something that, if you have a lot of questions coming in and if you have limited resources to answer them one by one, then try to include a bot, but just see how the response to that goes and customize it accordingly for your business. It's not a must-have. If you can, run simple tests like A/B tests, right? For your emails, for your landing pages. Try to make small tweaks and see what works. A lot of marketing automation software, for example, if you're using one for emails, then they can also give you these options for free where a limited number of emails or up to a limited number of subscribers, you can test your emails to see which ones are working more than others. So set up all of this. So there's a lot of automation and funnels you can set up, but just see what works best for your business, because this is where you really go from being, you can have a ton of traffic, but if that doesn't convert, then you're not really growing your business in the end. So it's not one step that's important. It's about getting traffic on your site, making them engaged with your business and your brand, and then taking the last step. This takes a while. It doesn't happen. It's not like I visit your website today and I sign up for something tomorrow. So keep doing it consistently and keep tracking them. This is where we come to the last part, where you can have a lot of metrics to understand how are people really interacting with your site? What is their interest? Maybe the one product or service or content that you're trying to push, it may be very important. You think that is the most beneficial for your audience, but it may not be. It may surprise you sometimes. You can look at Google Analytics, Search Console to see what keywords you're ranking for, what pages people are visiting, what links are they clicking on, what landing pages get the most traction, and also which pages they exit from. So you get an idea of what is bringing in the most interest, and that could become your cash cow, for example. That could be the biggest product or feature that you sell in your business, and the one that you really want to sell, which is probably not selling, can be an add-on to begin with. And you have some early adopters and then try to get them to promote it. So there's a lot of stuff that you can do, but really measure, analyze, and keep tweaking and refining, because optimization is not just once I did do it today and then it's done. It's really, going on and on and on about it, tracking it every once in a while, and then refining it. And it's not always about big tweaks. You can make small changes, maybe change the content, maybe update the content, maybe change the headline, and see where that gets you. So just to recap, so you have the golden rule, which is know your audience, and then you create a brand website, not just a business one. Use your website to run your business, improve your SEO, make people feel fantastic when they browse your website, use automation and funnels, and track, measure, and refine. So those were the key, tips that I can offer you on website optimization, and I will end it here, and I let Gail take over.
Thank you. I have so many questions. I'm never going to remember them all. The first one I asked you, though, the cake and sweet table website you showed us, what is that built on?
WordPress.
That's on WordPress using WooCommerce?
Yes.
Okay, cool. All right.
But I also used a plugin. I also used a product plugin for that.
Okay, well, I'd like to know what that is, and I'll put it in the website.
Okay.
The ability to filter is really important. And unfortunately, like one site I shop on has awesome filters, except that, for example, brands, they have squares, so I ought to be able to pick more than one, but I can't. So I have to look at each brand individually to find a product I want. And they have like 30 brands, but I only buy 4 of them. So I'd like to be able to pick 4 of them, but you can't pick 4 of them. All right, so Martin asks, what is your view on Gutenberg blocks and new themes like Wired by GeneratePress?
I am not a fan of Gutenberg blocks. I have to tell you from the beginning. I am more a classic fan. So when I do WordPress websites for my clients, I rarely ever use Gutenberg. I disable that and I use my classic editor. Sometimes it could work, and sometimes some people have a preference for that, but it's really not something that I use on a regular basis. And I discourage my clients also because sometimes they start writing content on that, for example, and then they get very confused. So they would rather write everything on the classic editor as, just like their Microsoft Word, and it works much easier for them. And the other one you mentioned was GeneratePress. It is, yeah, it is a fantastic theme. I haven't installed it for any of my clients, but I have tried it out. And there, it gives you a lot of flexibility and customizations, but it's not, like, I like Astra too. I like Ocean WP too. So it's, it's a question of preference and what works for your business.
All right, since we opened that door, I'd like to run through it. Gutenberg. All right. In general, the people that I know, because we're serious writers, detest Gutenberg. Let me put it this way. I did a survey of them. 16 are using the classic editor. 5 are using Gutenberg, but a lot of them only for one landing page, not for the whole site. 2 of us have switched to Classic Press, and 3 people are using a different WordPress builder like Divi. All right, this is my concern with the Classic Editor. From the start, WordPress Automatic, the parent of WordPress, has said they want to get rid of it. And it would, to me, it would be concerning if I'm building websites and I'm relying on the Classic Editor that WordPress keeps saying they're going to get rid of. Now, it's likely there will be other plugins. If WordPress got rid of the official Classic Editor plugin, there would be other third-party plugins to do that. But over time, it's going to be harder and harder. Themes are either going to be Gutenberg or they're going to be compatible, right? Because it's really hard to be cross-compatible as those things get further apart. And that's why I switched to Classic Press, which is not without pain, but I'm hoping to help them improve it so it's not so painful to move to. Because Classic Press is a long-term thing, but the Classic Editor might stop working. And it is definitely true that in Classic Press, if I rely on a theme that is a WordPress theme or a plugin that is a WordPress plugin, that is likely to quit working in the long run. So I'm having to have them coded or find a Classic Press specific, except there aren't very many. And so what's your feeling about that? Are you just kind of, let's just go with it, and when that happens, we'll deal with it?
Yeah, so I built my the website I showed you also is built on Elementor. So I use Elementor to build the key pages, but for the content I use Classic Editor, because when there's a lot of information, then you don't write content on Elementor. It's just a builder. So yes, for now I am going with that. But if there is no Classic Editor, we will see what happens. We will see what comes in, and I will see what best works for me then, because I have tried working with Gutenberg a lot of different times, and it has never been the user experience and the way I want to write as an editor. That's just not working. And my clients don't like it either. Even if they started off with it, and sometimes they've actually approached me to say, hey, I don't know how this thing works. I have a WordPress website. Somebody built it for me. I don't know how to deal with it. I don't know what to do with it. So that is where, I switch them to Classic, and the content becomes much easier. But yeah, so for now, if they discontinue Classic, we'll see what plugins, and that's the disadvantage of WordPress in a way, right? Because you can do so much more customizations than a lot of other CMS, but you are dependent on third-party plugins, and any of them, even the one that I showed you that I'm doing the bakery website on, it may not exist tomorrow. It may be discontinued. So then you have to find a replacement. But the chances are that there will be a replacement that comes up, which you might have to customize a bit more. You might have to add a little bit of code to make it work, but something or the other will work. So, as long as I can, I'm going to go with Classic, and then I'm going to see what happens.
Yeah, I agree with you that it's just not usable. It's really difficult to edit content. Like, update your older content is a nightmare in Gutenberg. And I do talk regularly to a writer, Anne. Anne writes for a lot of sites, and some of them are Gutenberg, and some of them don't let her use even the Classic block. They've got Gutenberg and no Classic block available.
Okay.
And she says they're just buggy. They're just erratic. And
yeah, it's just not actually within Gutenberg you have a block called Classic, so you can put that in and then try to work on it like a Classic editor. But again, it's not easy, it just drives me mad. So sometimes I've even gone to the extent of actually writing my content on Google Docs and then copy pasting it in the classic block or on Gutenberg just like that. But when I actually see the preview, it's just like, what is happening here? So yeah, it's really not user friendly. Not for me. I know some people can use it.
No, she said there's some sites they don't even have the classic block. It's like they have it disabled, and so they can't even use it.
Yep.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Do you know if she's tried using the classic block in that, or is that disabled as well?
She's saying that some sites have disabled the classic block within Gutenberg, so it's not there. So yeah, she uses it if it's there and they use Gutenberg, but some don't have it.
Yeah. So she actually writes it in Gutenberg? She writes the content in Gutenberg, or does she copy paste?
No, nobody does. That's insane. You can't think like that. It doesn't flow like that. You don't know where the videos or the images are going to go. It's just an insane idea to write in blocks. Nobody does that. And I did find out one good tip, though. If you're forced to deal with Gutenberg, I tweaked a site, and then I had to make a lot of changes on a page, and I couldn't even find where the text was. And I said, look, you're going to have to change this because I don't do Gutenberg. This is on you. You hired me to write content. This is not my problem. And what he did is he actually deleted the existing content, copied and pasted the entire page back in instead of editing it, because that was faster than trying to edit in Gutenberg. And so I think we beat that terrible horse. Automatic, what you were thinking, we don't know, but we hate it, and it's still that way. I think it's a 50-50 in the world of people that use it. But within the content...
You think Gutenberg is 50? You think really 50% of the people use Gutenberg?
Well, because what happened was their site changed to Gutenberg without their knowledge, and now they don't know how to use it, so it just sits there in Gutenberg. I would love to see some stats on actively being used WordPress installations. I think when they did that, a lot of people just quit. It's their site's up, but they're not touching it because they don't know how. And I actually wrote a really long, comprehensive piece about Gutenberg before it happened for Small Business Trends. So if anybody wants to search smallbusinesstrends.com, Gutenberg, and my name, or even probably without my name, it'll pop up. They can see what I wrote about it, and I still believe everything I wrote in there, which was that it is going to be a nightmare. But I think it's very telling that of serious writers, which is what we have a lot of in our mastermind community, which everyone can join, free, doesn't cost anything, that 16 use Classic Editor, and of the 5 that use Gutenberg, a lot of those only use it to lay out a key page or two. The blog is running Classic. So almost all of them, none of them use Gutenberg as a blogging tool, and that is very telling. And Automatic doesn't care, but obviously this is a problem for the WordPress community. We've now split it in half. Now, like I used to say, hey, if you have WordPress, I can save the content as a draft for you. Well, now I don't. I have to say, well, do you have Gutenberg? And they say, we don't know. And then, never mind, here's the content. Have fun.
I don't even know how people design pages on Gutenberg. I don't like doing that either. It's not just content, it's just a design tool. It's just not very user-friendly. You're a bit like this block and that block, and then it doesn't look how you want it to, and then you can't see, you can't optimize it as well on mobile. So which is why, a third-party builder for Elementor and Divi gives so much more flexibility. Even if you don't have the pro version on Elementor, you can still do so much, and it just, you're so much more in control, and you can see it's very WYSIWYG, what you see is what you get. And Gutenberg is just not that. It doesn't give you that preview. It doesn't give you that flexibility. So yeah, hats off to people who can actually design on Gutenberg. I'm not one of them.
All right, we have a very good discussion in the mastermind community about Gutenberg, and basically came down to there are really good page builders. That's not one of them, and that was my philosophy. If I wanted a page builder, I'd use Wix or Weebly or something. I wouldn't use WordPress. And so yeah, there's a really good discussion. I'd love to invite everyone to the WordPress to the bizsugar mastermind community. and also to all of our webinars. They can see all the past webinars at blog.bizsugar.com/webinar. And all the recordings are there, and this recording will be there after it's processed. Paloma, that's all we have. Martin said, thank you for your answer, and I would love you to share with the people where they can get in touch with you, what kind of services you have the bandwidth to offer, anything else you'd like to tell them.
Sure. So yeah, you can get in touch with me on LinkedIn and Twitter. Those are the places that, well, I'm most active on. I have Facebook and Instagram, but I don't use them a lot, not for my business. It's more personal. And yeah, so what I offer mostly, again, is website optimization. So make your website work for your business, it's not just about web design. Brand messaging, creating brand stories, and also SEO and content writing. So SEO content writing, how you can, write more SEO friendly content for your website. So I offer consultations as well as the actual service. So yeah, that's all about me. And yeah, if you have any questions, just don't hesitate to reach out with, if it's a specific question or a more generic question through any of the social media channels, or even on the bizsugar when Gail posts this, and there, I think you can put in comments over there. So yeah, just let me know. Thank you so much, Gail, for having me here. It was really good to share and discuss and share my, process and thoughts.
Thank you. You shared a lot of great tips. I need to put this in the e-commerce site when it's ready, because it's really important for e-commerce that the site be easy to navigate. I am so happy that you came, and if somebody wants to see a really good example of a lot of great filters, except you can't choose more than one, Vitacost.com has the filters set up very well, and that's why I buy there, even though they've been bought out by Kroger. No small business has competed with them yet, but I'm hoping someone will, and then I'll switch. So thank you so much. It was great.
Right, thank you. Bye.
Bye, everyone.